When you first come to Poland, do you remember it?
Yes.
How did it happen?
Actually, it started with a conversation with God. That's the beginning of my travel abroad. One day I was traveling in the car by myself, no radio on, and just conversating with God in prayer. And he spoke to me that day and said I would be traveling internationally. Mm-hmm. And the following year I was in Denmark. But then shortly thereafter I was in Poland. But God specifically told me I would be traveling internationally, ministering, singing, teaching to various people. And ever since then, I've been doing it every year, sometimes 2, 3, 4 times a year. So that was really the beginning of my travel abroad.
Mm-hmm. And when you first came to Poland, did you immediately understand what your ministry of what your role was going to be?
I thought I did. I remembered what God told me, that I would be ministering to various people. However, I didn't really grasp what he was telling me until maybe my first visit, especially here in Poland, because I have seen it evolve and really change drastically. I'm more than a musician, I'm a minister. And I use the word lightly because I walk lightly when I say the word minister. And probably because some of the, for lack of better words, fears that come with the word minister for Gerald, because it's not something I thought I really wanted to do.
So, did you have to overcome many obstacles in yourself, or was it a problem with your thinking, or maybe getting used to the way how you perceived yourself in a church or in a family?
Yes, more so of how I perceive myself. Sometimes we think less of ourselves than others, but God has a way of thinking highly of us, or I guess God, well not I guess, God knows more than we, and he knows what we're capable of doing. But Gerald, was thinking a little different. Why me? I'm not qualified, someone else is better. But for some reason, God thought that I'm the person to do this task. And so now I'm more confident doing this now that I realize that God has confidence in me, and now I have confidence.
When you first came to Poland, do you remember how you thought about the ministry? And can you tell us something about how your perception of your role has been changing within the years?
Well, when I first came to Poland, I thought perhaps the people would be different from those in the States. However, over the years, I've realized that people are the same. No matter where you go, what country, what city, what town, people are people. And we all have the same likes, dislikes, good days, bad days, troubles, trials, tribulations. We're the same. And that's something that I learned when I first came. I really thought there would be many differences, but there aren't.
Okay, and have you been used to the way of leading workshops as you do it here? So it's not just teaching songs, but also teaching people about Christ and gospel, and also teaching how to sing. Because it's something totally new for us in Poland. I think this is why we are so drawn to this type of events.
Actually, this is the way I've been teaching the same for a while. Whenever I teach music, I always try to teach more than just a song, whereby I'm teaching the meaning of the song or a scriptural reference relating to the song. But it's always more than just a song. It's more of a lifestyle of living is what I really want people to walk away with.
Okay, Gerald, we would like to know something about you personally, and it's something that you, I think, never talk about during the workshops, about the time when you were growing up in the States, in a black church,
Mhm.
about important phases in your life. So can you tell us something about it?
Yes. I guess the most memorable moment I can think back as far as growing up is when I was around, I guess, 11 years old. And in particular, I used to imitate the minister of music at the church. I used to go to church and then watch him play. And then once I arrived home, before I obtained a keyboard, I would imitate him playing. And in my head, I used to make a little noise. I can still do it. But I used to do that all the time, to the point where my parents, would you stop making that noise? Would you stop doing that? And my sisters used to just despise that noise.
So they are not musicians.
No, not at all. Trust me, they're not. But I used to do that all the time, to the point where I started to teach myself how to play. And the funny thing is, my oldest sister had a little keyboard that you would sit on a desk, and she didn't use it, and so I took over her little organ, actually. And so I started to play that, and so I taught myself how to play. But in particular, it was special around the age of 11 or 12 when I wrote my first song, and I taught it to the youth choir of the church. So that was a special moment.
Do you still remember the song?
I do. Please don't ask me to sing it now, but I do remember it.
But you can tell us the lyrics.
The title of the song is Give Your Life to Christ.
Wow.
That was my first song I've ever written. Yes, and I thought it was special that God would give me a song entitled, Give Your Life to Christ.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was like the beginning of a period for Gerald. You know, giving your life to Christ, and from there, moving forward. So it was very special. And I will let you in on a little secret. I plan to do the song again. I plan to revise the song and teach it to various choirs.
Wow.
So
Poland?
Everywhere. Because it's very special to me. Extremely. And the other special part would be the fact that I had a head full of hair during that time. Yes, but that was a very special time.
Okay, the time of your college studies, graduation?
Yes, well, actually even before college, I would have to say something about my high school days, because I was just so active in the school, to the point everyone knew Gerald as the musician, the director, because I was extremely active in music, to the point where one would, I guess, almost call me the teacher's pet. Because I was just extremely involved in different phases of music. And then once I arrived to college, I was more advanced, I would say, than some of my peers, because my music teacher in high school taught me so much before getting to college. So it was really, a blessing to have her in my life.
Did you study music?
I did, yes. Music education and piano as my instrument.
Mm-hmm. And will you tell us something about the role of church in your life, or the life of your family?
Yes, well, I have 4 sisters, and growing up, one of the famous phrases, shall I say, I would hear from my sisters is, would you stop playing? Would you stop rehearsing? I used to rehearse a lot, so every chance I would get, I would practice. But the other thing, as far as church, because I was playing for the youth choir at an early age, around 11, everyone knew me in the church, and they knew, that Gerald was the musician of the choir. And so when my mother, in particular, would introduce my sisters, she would always say, and these are Gerald's sisters, da 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 da. And my sisters, they hated that. I'm not Gerald's sister, my name is da 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 da. But it was funny moments, but as I look back, it was a wonderful learning experience as well.
Who taught you about Christ?
I would say the first person was my great aunt. Yes. She's actually the one who introduced my family to this church, which is still my home church, Mount Jezreel. And so we used to always go to Sunday school. All of the kids went to Sunday school. We were very active in the church. We were ushers. I was a junior usher as a child. Before playing a lot, I ushered. And so my great aunt Dot, she really introduced Christ to me.
Do you remember the time, the point of conversion for you?
I do. I don't remember the particular age, to be honest, but I was young, 12. So it was a very special time. And I think music helped to really introduce me even more so to Christ. I think without the music in my life, I probably wouldn't have been as close and had a stronger knowledge of Christ if it weren't for the music. Because the lyrics have a way of ministering to you.
Yes.
Even when you don't expect it.
Do you read the Bible, or you only sing the Bible?
I read the Bible. I live the Bible. But that's a good question, because everyone that sings gospel does not necessarily live the Bible. But I believe in living the Bible. Many persons can quote the Bible probably better than I can. But I think it's important that we live the Bible and express the Bible to others. And the greatest passage to me would be to love. The greatest commandment is to really to love. And if one can display love, then I believe you are living the Bible. Because Christ is love.
You know, Poland is a Christian country. It's been a Christian country for more than 1,000 years. But you may be surprised that we don't know the Bible. And it's not normal to quote the Bible, to learn it by heart. So could you please tell us what's the normal upbringing for a child in your church? How do you get used to knowing the scriptures so well?
Well, we have a number of classes in my church. For example, I mentioned earlier Sunday school. We also have a Bible Institute every week, and it's for 12 weeks. And we have classes specifically for various ages. For the little children, there's a class. For the next group, the youth. For the teenagers, there's a group. Even for my young age, there's a group. But we have a class that will sort of meet the need of everyone. In fact, we have music classes, which are part of the Bible Institute, to help you learn about music, at the same time learn about the scriptures. So there's a lot of teaching in my church.
Do you recommend people to go, or
Oh yes,
is
definitely.
it just obligatory, or is it voluntary?
It's voluntary. For an example, with music and arts, the ministry that I'm responsible for, we recommend and we encourage the members, the disciples, to take a class, whether it be Sunday school class, Bible Institute class, but to do something to help mature spiritually. Because it's easier to sing if you know more of the Bible.
Maybe a different type of question. Do musicians sing?
Yes.
Or they just play the Bible?
Many musicians sing. It's funny you should ask the question, because the musicians in my church, we always have this little joke.
Yes.
I tease them sometimes, whereby I'll ask them to sing. And one by one, they'll try to disappear from the room.
Yeah, because sometimes you have this idea that they're completely they're totally in a different place than the rest of the choir.
Yeah, sometimes it appears that way. But for the most part, we try to really include them in everything the choir does, even singing.
When you think about faith, a life of faith, are there any parts you would like to emphasize?
Yes, in this instance, when I think of faith, I really, faith is such a powerful word, and I have come to really grasp the word faith, in particular as it relates to me as a musician / director, composer, what have you. One of the things I try to encourage, especially musicians and singers, is the importance of being available And to me, that involves having faith too, whereby you're available to serve. You're available to be the servant of God. And it's not necessarily being such a wonderful, fantastic musician, singer, what have you, with the ability, but really being available to God. And I have come to realize that even if you don't have the best voice, you don't have the best musicianship whereby you can play like a Liberace or what have you, but if you're available in whatever gift or talent you have enough faith, enough will and desire to give it back to Him, that He will multiply that gift and He will make that gift even more than you can imagine. But I think it's a walk of faith.
I believe that gifts and developing gifts have a very important role in your church, in worship. And would you tell us more about it? Because sometimes for Europeans, and especially for Poles, when we watch scenes from black churches, we have this idea it's a kind of performance, which for us seems to be something even insincere.
Very interesting, because well, I can speak for my home church, Mount Jezreel. It's a unique worship experience, and I use the words worship experience very carefully, because it's a different experience whereby it's full of energy and excitement and enthusiasm. And yet, I guess if one were to come in for the first time, you would be amazed to see the dancers in the aisles, and
yes,
you would see the orchestra playing, and you would see the sign interpreters for those that are deaf. You would see a large choir, and the drums and the organ and flags and people standing and praising and waving their hands and what have you. And yet it may appear like there's a performance. And in some regard there is, because God is the audience. And that's sort of the way I present music and arts to the disciples at my home church, Mount Jezreel. I encourage them to minister to God first, that we give it to God. And yet there is a mode of performance. Yes, we're performing to God, exactly. And so, but it's all in a worship experience. We're worshiping. It's an act of worship that we want to give God our best. We want to give Him everything we have, and if it means raising our hands and jumping and leaping and smiling, and we'll do whatever we can to please God. And so, if some were to believe that's a form of performance, well, okay, it is. It's a performance to God.
One may ask, what actually is worship?
Worship is a wonderful thing. When you think of worship, you also think of praise. But there's a big difference in praise and worship. And I think many times we sort of mix them up. I've come to realize that persons don't really understand what praise and what worship is. Praise to me is an outward expression of your gratitude to God, and you're thankful for the many things He's done for you. But worship is a personal relationship. Worship is more intimate, and worship is not just perhaps maybe bowing down in His presence or telling Him that you love Him or you appreciate Him or what have you. But worship is a lifestyle whereby we can worship God by even serving others. We can worship God by maybe feeding the hungry or helping those in need. So I think worship is not just something we do in a building whereby others see us maybe in a personal relationship with God, but really loving and displaying a lifestyle, of God-like lifestyle to others. And I think worship is far broader than we sometimes take it. but yet it's very personal. It's an intimate relationship with God.
Yes, I believe that it's vitally important that we don't only sing, but also go out with charity to help and to serve. And as I know that your home church, Mount Jezreel, does a lot for homeless people and does a lot of charity work. And the Gospel Association also started to donate money that is earned during workshops to homeless or to other aids like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think that is so important because really serving God really is about serving others. And one of the things that I really, try to keep in mind is that when God blesses me, it's not just for me, it's so that I can be a blessing to others. And I just keep that thought in mind. And I'll give you a little testimony. When I was a few years younger, when I was working at the World Bank, I always wanted a better car. And I'll confess, I wanted a Mercedes. And so I kept driving my little beat up little small Chevette, I think it was. And whenever persons would ask me for a ride, I would say, sure, come on, I'll take you wherever you need to go. And so they would try to give me money, for taking them wherever. I said, no money, because I'm working on my Mercedes. And so every time I would use my own gas, I would pick people up and take them wherever, because in my heart, in my mind, I want God to see that I'm faithful over this. And so I'm going to use my car to take people wherever they want, because I want him to see that I'm going to deserve this next car because I'm being faithful over this. And he blessed me. I was faithful over that, and he blessed me with my Mercedes. Yet it's something materialistic, but it was something that I desired. And I think it works the same way with ministry. I think when God sees that we're faithful over this small little thing, that he will bless us with more. But yet we don't do it just to be blessed, but at the same time, that which we have, it is so important that we share it with others. And so the music ministry, the ministry in general, it involves taking it to other people and really sharing with other people and displaying that love to other people.
Gerald, many times when you come here, you teach people your own songs.
Yes,
and I must say that they are extremely popular. I believe that one
really?
of the best songs that we had
Thank
was
you.
Worthy of Praise.
Wow, thank you.
Do you remember how you taught Adam and Gabrisha?
Yes, I do.
The song Worthy of Praise is very dear to me because of the lyrics. And in fact, whenever I teach the song, especially to the soloist, I really want them to take their time with the words, particularly in the beginning, where it says, no one would have died for me. No one would have cared for me like you did. Even when I didn't love myself, you loved me. And so those words is just so important to me in particular, that someone would love me so much that he would lay down his life for me. And so the song just has so much meaning to me, not because it's so well written or because I hope it'll win a Grammy or some award, but because the lyrics minister to me first. And so when it ministers to me, it often will minister to others as well.
How many songs have you written?
I've written many songs. I have not really counted how many songs I've written. I would guess maybe around 40, perhaps even 50. And I say that because there's some songs that I have in my sort of private area where no one has heard. So there's some songs that are still nurturing. Yes, usually when I write songs, it's because of an experience that I've gone through. For an example, there's a song I've written entitled, We Praise You for Who You Are. That song is so special to me as well. I'll never forget, one day I was in my little private music room, and the lights were off. And I must admit, I went through a little trial period. And so I went to the piano and I started playing. And I started with the chorus. And usually I'll start playing first, and then the lyrics will come. And so it was though I was just praying or ministering to God. And then the words started to come, "Oh Lord, I praise you. Oh Lord, I praise you." And at the time I was just saying, "I praise you." I didn't say "we," because I really was on a personal level with God. And so a lot of songs will come that way. Just an intimate period with God and through an experience that I've gone through. And then another time I recall, the song is entitled I'll Never Let Go of His Hand, actually. And I'll never forget walking in the house, and I went to the basement, and I didn't turn the lights on. I just knew exactly, of course, where the piano was. I went straight to the piano, and I had a hard time. It was just one of those periods, in your life when it's just difficult. And so I started playing, and the words came to me, "I won't give in, I won't give up, I'll never let go of His hand." And immediately God just gave me the words to this song. And so it has a special meaning. And every time I hear the song, I go back to my basement and I picture myself in that room when God gave me those words. And so basically God ministers to me first, and then I'll write that song down and it will minister to others.
So these are your very intimate testimonies.
Very intimate, yes.
And people probably don't usually realize how much
No, they don't.
you open for them.
Exactly. It's like I can imagine it's like a child, a woman giving birth to a child. I sort of feel the same way when you birth these songs. It's from an experience. It's from deep within you that these songs come about. At least with me, that's my testimony.
Have you ever written a song during a service, like the crowd does?
That's very funny. Yes, actually I have. There have been times when I have been, well, first of all, I'm very spontaneous. In any given service, anything can happen musically. And the musicians and the choir members, they know this. In fact, I would say almost every service, I will change the song to the point, is this a new song? I change the words, I'll change the melody, I'll change whatever at that moment. And that's why I encourage the choir members and musicians to watch me closely. Because I'm expecting God to do something different every time. I don't expect for the service to be the same way every time. Because I just believe that God gives us new mercies every day, and with those new mercies, new things come about, new songs, new tunes, new words. So I expect something new. I don't want anything old and stale. I want something fresh.
That's fantastic. Can you tell me something about your music inspirations? Do you have anyone you look up to?
There are many persons whom I look up to. I would say I would have to go back to high school. My music teacher, Dr. Barbara Baker. Anyone who knows Gerald knows something about Dr. Barbara Baker, because I have mentioned her name numerous times. She's not someone who's famous, so to speak. She's not on television or radio, but she's a well-known music educator, and she has instilled in me so many wonderful attributes as a musician today. So I thank her so much for the quality she's instilled in me. But then there's someone that's very popular that I look up to. That's Richard Smallwood. And anyone, once again, that knows Gerald, you know that Gerald loves Richard Smallwood. Some of my friends even joke with me, they call me Little Richard. So if it means being called Little Richard, fine, I'll be Little Richard. And then there's another person by the name of Henry Mackenzie Davis. He's a pianist who plays extremely well. And growing up, I used to always try to imitate him. But I have so many persons that I look up to. To have a favorite, no. But many people have been a blessing to me in my growth as a musician. Sometimes, actually, I do not compose a song. myself, I'll arrange a song. For example, many times I'll teach a song, and there may be a particular phrase or section of the song that doesn't really minister to me, and so I'll change it. And I've done that many times. In particular, if songs to me are not scriptural, if there's something in the song that to me, well, I can't really validate that with the Bible, I won't teach it, even if it's something very popular. I don't believe in teaching songs that do not scripturally have a foundation.
Yeah.
To me, that's not fair, or it's not educating persons, because part of the reason why I teach songs is to help persons grow spiritually. And so I think it's so important that we teach accurately and don't teach anything that goes against what the Bible says. And so if it means changing it, I will change it.
I remember that you took only a part of Richard Smallwood's song.
What song is that?
And you combine it with
Oh, yes.
your own.
Yes. I'm amazed that you remember that.
It was the first time you were in Kraków.
Yes. Wow. Whew. That's a special moment for me. As I mentioned before, Richard Smallwood is someone I appreciate very much. I have much love for him. He lives in my area as well. He's a very humble person, but his music ministry is just wonderful. His song, Total Praise, and my song, We Praise You For Who You Are, there's a marriage
Yes.
with those two songs. And what happened, I think we Praise You For Who You Are first. And at the end of We Praise You For Who You Are, we went into the end of Richard's song, You Are the Source of My Strength. And then from there, we finished the song with Total Praise. But it was a wonderful marriage of the two songs. And in fact, both of the songs were written in the same key. And so the songs have similarities, as far as I'm concerned. Richard has a classical background, and so do I. And so I think that's another reason why I have this connection with his music. And in fact, the song Worthy of Praise is written in a D minor, in key of D minor. And for the most part, when persons hear that song, they think, is that Richard's song? That's Richard Smallwood's song. No, it's not. It sounds like something Richard would write because it's in a minor key. And it's mainly because of the classical background. Richard has a classical background, so do I. And so not many gospel artists will write in these minor keys. And so when you hear it, you automatically think of Richard Smallwood because he was very unique into it.
I remember that song, and I remember that it was almost impossible to finish that song because this ending was so triumphant, like trumpets.
Yes. Very grandiose ending with, I can imagine with a big orchestra and timpanis playing, just majestic. Almost you can just see, Christ sitting at the right hand of the Father, and we're singing this song, and it's just very majestic sounding. So I actually love songs with a very big ending, actually.
I would like to talk about copyrights. Our movement, gospel movement in Poland is quite new, and because it's fresh and young, and people have sincere hearts, they want to worship God. They don't often think about earthly things. And there is this conviction that Christianity share everything. That if you're Christian and you do something for the glory of God, it means that everyone else can use what you do. Do you have the same problem in the States?
I think copyright issues have been a problem for many years and still is a problem, even in the States. In particular, even in my church, for an example, I make it a point to instill in the music and arts ministry disciples that it is illegal to Xerox music. It is illegal to Xerox music. It is wrong to Xerox music. It is stealing to Xerox music. It is unchristian to Xerox music. And I have a strong conviction about that, to the point, even if we have to Xerox something in my church, I tell my choir members, we will use it for this purpose only, turn it back in, and we will purchase this music. I will only Xerox when I know I'm going to purchase the music.
Yes.
Because I want people to realize there's a way to do everything. And that as Christians, we have to set the example. The world is looking at us to really set the example. And I think some persons perhaps don't know that it's wrong. But I think it's important for those of us that do know, that we have that knowledge, that we share with persons, that one must pay royalties when you use another person's song. Personally speaking, I am one who survives from royalties. I'm a full-time musician. I don't have another job whereby I have other income. And so when I write a song, the royalties help support me. So I can pay my mortgage, so I can purchase a car or clothing or food or what have you. So it's a part of our livelihood. And so I would really just like to reach out to everyone who's listening today. Please don't Xerox music illegally. It's against the law. And it's unchristian-like. It's a form of stealing. And God is not pleased. And neither am I. So please don't. I think it's so important that we do what's right. And God is calling for his people to do what is correct.
Can you explain what royalties are?
Yes, royalties really is, it's compensation basically for your work, whether it be writing a song, writing the music, the lyrics, what have you. And periodically, maybe quarterly, you'll receive compensation from those who have purchased your product. And from the sale of that product, you will get a portion of the proceeds. And for example, I think it's a wonderful thing because it's like a special blessing. You write this song and someone sells this song, and without doing any more work yourself, proceeds come to you quarterly. But it's a blessing because the proceeds from that sale of that song will really help. It can help support you. It can help you pay your mortgage. It can help you pay your condo. And so it is so important that I think that others realize that the royalties is vital to a musician, songwriter, singer, what have you, and that we must be accountable.
What about the songs that you teach in Poland and then they are recorded? How does it work?
For the most part, I tend to find that European countries are pretty good with making sure that they follow protocol and really make sure that all the necessary paperwork is completed whereby we can obtain our royalties. I, to this day, receive royalties from various European countries for songs that have been done abroad. So it's something that's really, it's not that bad. Usually the organizations tend to follow protocol, but it's usually the individuals who think that they can get away with this.
So if we have a young choir,
Yes.
a young gospel choir who wants to use a song and sing it at a concert, what should they do?
Well, I think it's a little different on that level. Usually the problem comes when one is singing these songs and obtaining proceeds from the sale of songs, whereby you record the song and you sell so many copies, and the person who wrote the song is not getting any proceeds. Or to the point where you don't even ask permission to do the song. If nothing else, ask permission. And usually, most songwriters will say, sure, go ahead, no problem. But it's a matter of common courtesy. If you want to use my car, sure, no problem. But can you ask me first? And so it's the same concept with music. Ask.
And how can one purchase your music sheet?
Most of my music, on the back of my music, I'll have my information. Whereby you can email me, even call. My number is not a hidden secret. So I always have information on the back of my personal music. And I will soon have a new website, so one will be able to find me.
I think it's very helpful for all those who can hear you now to know what to do in cases like that, also with other composers and authors of the songs.
Yes, it is very important. And we must be held accountable. It is so important that we are held accountable for everything that we do. Thou shalt not steal.
We had a privilege to welcome you with your choir twice in Poland. It was a fantastic experience for us to sing with you and to develop friendships. And I know that some of them still last and people write emails and call.
Yes.
So we are really grateful for it. And that's why I understand that working with the choirs is a vital part of your job description.
It is. Working with choirs is one of the most important things I'm doing actually in the church. We have many choirs in the church. And actually I have a great love for working with choirs. I love to get a choir to go from here to here. I love to challenge a choir to the next level of singing, whereby they give their best. Oftentimes I'll share with directors, our job is not to sing every song. Our job is not to try to play everything or shine ourselves, but to get the choir members to give their best, to pull out everything we can from the choir members and get them to give 100%. We're to make them sound good. And that's what I keep in the forefront of my mind. And once you do that, you will find that your ministry, your choir, will grow. Because you're watering, you're nurturing the choir. And it always grows once you nurture.
Do you have any problems in your choirs?
There are always problems, but no problem can't be solved. Every problem has a resolution. One of the things I find with choirs is that soloists in particular, they think they have to ask or plead and beg, push their way to the microphone. But I always encourage soloists in particular, you don't have to do that because your gift will make room for you. So if you really have a gift from God, you don't have to push your way through. That the doors will open for you without pushing your way through. And oftentimes I'll ask soloists, well, whom are you singing for? Why do you want to sing solo? Because actually you can sing in your section as a soprano, alto, tenor, or bass. You don't have to be in front to sing a solo. Because if you sing to God first, no matter where you sing, God is still the audience. And so I think we have to check our motives for why we want to be out front. Is it because you are looking for a position, or you want to be famous, or you want to be recognized? Then you're not a soloist. Maybe you have to ask yourself why I want to sing solo. So I think that's one of the issues that we have to be very mindful of. It's a nice thing to sing a solo, but why do you want to sing a solo? Another important topic is the topic of musicians. Musicians have to really remember their role. We are not sort of the featured artist. We're supporting the choir. The choir is the main objective, and we're there to lend support to the choir. So we can't play louder than the choir. We can't try to outdo the choir. We're really supporting the choir and making sure that the ministry is going forth. And sometimes with musicians, we get a little wrapped up into our musicality and, we want to jam and we want to have fun and da. But we have to remember our role. Our role is to support the choir. And there will be times when musicians will have solos or what have you. That's fine. But for the most part, we're there to support the choir. Yeah. Something else I think musicians should keep in mind is that we're part of the choir. And because we're part of the choir, oftentimes you'll see the director. I know I do it myself. Smile. Come on, smile, choir, smile. Well, musicians, we need to smile too. So we have to really be pleasant. I share with my choir members often, and musicians, that some people, they can't hear the wonderful music. Yet they can see, but they can't hear a thing. Let's let them see the joy. Let's let them see the enthusiasm. Let them see Jesus. They can't hear it, let them see it. And so that's something that we have to work on. Musicians and choir. Smile.
Do you have any problem with finding people to sing in choirs in your church?
No problem whatsoever. We have many choir members. But it's funny though, some people in the congregation, they think, you all don't need any more people, do you? You all have enough. Y'all don't need any help. And which is not true. And sometimes some of the best voices are those that are still sitting in the congregation. So there's always room for more. Gospel music is so important to me. Gospel music is the root of really what Gerald is about. Gospel music is the good news of Jesus Christ. And without Jesus Christ, there is no good news. There's no secret what gospel music can do through Jesus Christ. There's no secret what Jesus Christ can do for you. There's just no secret to what gospel music is. There's no secret because it's open to everyone. Gospel music is such a beautiful experience. I can't imagine my life without gospel music, to be honest. Gospel music has, I think, saved Gerald. It saved me from doing other things that maybe I shouldn't be doing. Without gospel music, I don't know what I would be doing today. Gospel music is my life, and without it, I can't imagine a life, period. And I just thank God that He chose me to share the good news of Jesus Christ. Gospel music can save, it can set you free, it can open up windows, it can shut even some doors that should be closed. I would encourage anyone today that if you're seeking something, gospel music can help in so many different ways. Yet there's an art form that's involved with any music, whether it's classical, jazz, blues, whatever, rock. There's a musical art form that's established with any music. However, the big difference with this art form of music is that it can save, it can set free, it can loose shackles, it can break any bondage that one might have. Gospel music is powerful. I could talk forever about the power of gospel music because I don't just know something about it. I live gospel music. When I first came to Poland, I thought I was here as a musician. I thought my goal and my reason for being here was because they need a gospel musician here. I was so wrong. Over the years, I've come to realize that I am truly a missionary. And I guess some would say, a missionary? Yes, a missionary. And because what happens is, because gospel music is so powerful, it's a preaching element that comes with gospel music. How can you sing about the good news of Jesus Christ and not really share a sermon or share an experience or share a testimony? So really, the reason why I believe God has chosen me is because I'm a missionary. And the tool by which God uses me is music. For some, as a missionary, you may walk out on the street and hand out pamphlets to people. You may minister to them just from talking on the corner or what have you. But for me, God chose me as a missionary to use the tool of gospel music to reach his people and to minister to his people, to help save his people, to help bring his people to a new realization of him. Well, it's not about me. It's not about what Gerald can do. It's not about how well I can play or how well I can sing, how well I can teach or write songs, but it's how well God can use me to reach others. And I'm so glad that God chose me to be the missionary to reach people through gospel music. I'm sitting here in beautiful Krakow, and indeed it is beautiful Krakow. I'm just relaxing here, enjoying myself. I've been here so many times, it's like coming home for me. Krakow, I must admit, is one of the most beautiful cities I've ever visited. From day one, I knew I belonged here. Actually, I'm a musician, and I come here to share gospel music with the people here in Poland. But the wonderful thing about it is, yet when I first started coming here, I thought I was coming to sort of work. But I'm not working, I'm having too much fun to work. This is not work, I'm having a wonderful time teaching gospel music and sharing the good news of the gospel with the people here in Poland. It has been a wonderful experience. I can't think of a better place to share the gospel music. And the wonderful thing about it is that I thought when I first came here that the people in Krakow were very conservative. But you know what, over the course of the years, they have become very open and receptive to this gospel music. And they like clapping their hands, they like moving their feet, they like rocking from side to side. And it has been a blast. It has been wonderful. Yet maybe Krakow has been known as being very conservative over the years, but I have seen a tremendous change. The people in Krakow love gospel music, just as I do. Hip hip hooray for Krakow. Gospel music is just such a wonderful genre of music. And the wonderful thing that I've seen over the course of the years is not only here in Krakow do the people enjoy this music, but I've seen it in so many different parts of Europe. I could name so many different countries where I have visited and they share the gospel of Jesus Christ. It is wonderful. Gospel music is just taking off everywhere. So many different countries are sharing in this gospel, and it is a wonderful experience. I want to encourage you today, if you have not experienced the good news of the gospel, I encourage you to listen to some gospel music. You too will like it.